And we're
What
live.
up, ladies and gentlemen?
What's going on the Facebook and the Twitter and the everybody else? On
And-
today's episode, you
Yeah.
want to intro it?
Yeah, I didn't know how
I don't know.
we're
I
gonna
was
do it. But
just
listen,
going with
ladies
it.
and gents, ever wonder what it takes to edit a podcast? Let's find out.
Shut up and sit down.
Business Bros is your show, where small business professionals just like you come to tell their stories. This podcast is for those who understand the number one rule in business, which is to be of service to others. Learn how today's professionals generate leads, what's working on social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of those who are out there doing the real work. And now let's welcome your hosts, Hernan CS, the real estate bro with eXp Realty, the cloud-based brokerage where top producers reign, and James CS, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, making sure you are covered because there's a lot riding out there. And now here are the Business Bros.
I'm over here like,
I know, dancing around
it's
to
cool. Hey, yeah. Hey, so, dude, total had an apostrophe as we're listening to this. Remember, we're talking about redoing the intro.
An epiphany?
That's what I said. We're talking about rewriting the intro and redoing it.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll have her at the very end say, "And now, welcome to another episode." And when we come back,
we could just start off with saying
us
Business
with the
Bros.
guest.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Then we don't miss out on the Business Bros.
Then
That's
we
the
don't miss
funnest
out.
part.
It is.
I don't know. I have fun with it.
Welcome to another episode of Business
Bros.
I love it, dude. And then we
That
don't
is-
miss out. I love
And
it.
then we
All
don't
right.
miss out. That's perfect. That's what's gonna happen.
Oh,
Make sure-
this is why you pay me the big bucks.
That's right. That's
Hold on,
right.
Let me take off my hat.
You know what?
Because I
am-
totally understand now.
I am going to double your salary for the podcast.
Yes. My salary is 0, ladies and gentlemen. You could quadruple
Fine.
it. and I'd
3
be,
times. You're such a hard
I
negotiator.
know. I love it. I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, on today's episode, we will be talking about editing your podcast. And even though I am officially dubbed the producer of the podcast, I actually don't do a ton of the editing work. Over the past almost 2 years, bro. Can you believe it? Almost 2 years that we've been doing this show. You have been the primary editor of the podcast.
Well, audio editing and video editing, right? There's two completely different things. So why this subject? Why did this come up? So I made a post on a podcast forum and basically I asked people, hey, what are you struggling with? And one of the main things that people are talking about is A, monetizing, B, editing, right? And so I did a lot of talking about editing. And not necessarily true that you didn't do a lot of editing. And here's the biggest thing. A lot of these people who are starting a podcast don't have a lot of money to spend to pay somebody to post produce, right? So they can record, but they don't got a lot of money to spend to have people create raps. They don't have a lot of money to spend to people for people to come in and fine tune their audio and, do that sort of stuff. And,
Right.
and
I mean,
I
those
understand
things-
because that's exactly where we were. We were going to spend that
Yeah.
kind of money to get started, right? You got to kind of figure it out on your own.
We were willing to spend a little on the equipment. That's why we got these, nice little microphones and the Focusrite things. We weren't sure. We knew that it was going to be an interview podcast. It's like when we really decided at some point, we knew that would be the case. And you went and bought multiple Focusrite little switcher things, whatever the heck they're called.
Audio
interface and multiple mics. So luckily, by doing that, you had a spare when we ended up working, from home, when we got quarantined here. And so now I have my own little Focusrite plugged into my computer plus my own mic.
And it makes a big difference in sound quality, right?
Oh my God, right?
Well, and here's the thing, I'm having conversations with people online, and let's start before we go into the video editing. Let's talk about the audio, right? So I'm having conversation with people online, and they're like, one of my biggest problems, I spend so much time editing my audio. right? And so I can understand that, but if you have a mic like this, right? Or you don't, it doesn't have to be like these are like $50 mics. You don't have to go and get a $50 mic. You can go a little bit cheaper. The point is, once you have a microphone set in, your audio is going to be good enough. And I think most people spend a lot of time on editing their podcast trying to make themselves sound like they don't make mistakes, right? So they go in and they cut out the ums and the MKs and
right.
and the little blank spots where they're thinking, that sort of stuff. They go in and they spend so much time trying to cut that stuff out that by the time they finish, they've only created one episode and it's like a week and a half or a week has gone by when they could be creating more content.
Okay, so something to say about that is it depends on the purpose of your podcast and the presentation that you want to give. You and I, we have a very raw and real format, right? We just have conversations with people. That's all it is. But take Melina, for example. She's always our go-to example because her podcast is flawless, right? Her podcast, she skips the ums. Yeah, it's almost like if she writes a script. I don't know if she actually does, but if she doesn't write an actual script, she's got her points very, very outlined. She knows exactly what she's going to talk about, what she wants to say about it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. See, there's an right there. Our podcast is different in that case where we're just being real. We're just talking to people. We're just, having these kind of conversations. So if you're going to have the kind of podcast where you are presenting specific information and you want to present it in a way that's super professional, then you're going to spend time editing that podcast and removing the ums.
Yeah, and I'll give you a perfect example. So most of the people I've conversated with don't have that kind of show, right? But there was a couple people where, like, one of them, he's telling stories, like epic stories. He writes a whole script out. It's like hearing an audiobook almost, and every episode is a different story, right? So in that case, you're going to want to take the ums out. You're going to want to have the right tone and the right pitch and the right, the right emphasis on certain words. And so, yes, that's going to take a while to edit. That's a different type of production.
Right.
But the majority of people are doing something different. They're having conversations. They're telling their opinions. They're like, I don't know, critiquing other videos and other opinions, other politics, other things going on. And it's very much conversational. And so,
yeah,
for those people,
and I would say personally, the ones that I listen to the most, the podcasts that I listen to the most, are more conversational, aren't as scripted. With probably the exception of like Melina's and this other one. What's it called? Oh, I forgot. But it's the one. No, those aren't podcasts. Those are YouTube videos. No, it's this really cool one that talks about impeachment. It's all about the story of the Nixon impeachment and then the Clinton impeachment. And I'm sure that actually season 3 that they just came out with is actually about the Tupac and Biggie brawl. Yeah, rivalry. And probably at some point they'll release one about the Trump impeachment here.
And those are things that are they're stories.
Slow burn,
right? Slow burn. That's the name of the podcast. Slow burn. Well, but those are stories, right? And so those are meant to be edited. You're supposed to cut them out, and they're developed in a certain way. Most other people aren't like that. And so my main question to them was, what is the purpose of your podcast? Like, why do you have it out there? What is the intention? Because if your intention is something to entertain in a story fashion, then you're absolutely right. There's nothing I can do. It's going to be time consuming. You got to go through, you got to chop stuff up. You got to put things in the right spot. And all that has to get done. It's just the way it is. Right.
Yep.
But for the most part, the conversation they have, it's not like that. And so what I was trying to emphasize to them was, look, you're spending all this time editing these long form pieces of content that most likely people don't really listen to in that much detail. It's something that they listen to when they're running, when they're in the car. It's conversational. It's while they're cleaning their house, that sort of stuff. Right. Spend
So,
spend your editing time
uh-huh,
taking clips and taking
right.
small segments and repurposing that long form content into short form content.
The
Spend
20
your time doing
seconds,
that.
the 20-second segment, the 30-second segment that really emphasizes a particular point that is easy to consume in a quick little snippet on Facebook or
Instagram, whatever,
Instagram or
Twitter.
Twitter, whatever
Exactly.
one.
Why? Because what did you get into this thing to do? Did you get into this thing to create content or to be perfect? And that's one of those things that everybody who chases perfection is chasing an illusion, because there's no such thing as perfection. We can always get better and strive for perfection, but understand that we will never get there. And so
Mhm.
if you're creating this content piece, I mean, the number one thing that I heard concerns were about time and editing. The second thing was about growing their audience. And they
Mhm.
kind of go hand in hand. You're spending all your time perfecting the long form piece of content when you could be spending that same exact time chopping it up into small pieces so that you can repurpose it, engage with social media, engage with your audience on other platforms, and bring them back to your podcast.
See, now you got to go back and edit that burp that you just did.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna leave it in there. That's
See?
just me.
No, but that to your point. That's
Yeah.
exactly to your point, is if you are going back and spending time to remove those kinds of errors, and the ums and the and the, all of this stuff that I do, then you're not spending the time to cut down a valuable piece and put that into your social media to grow your audience, where somebody will actually spend the time to listen to that value bringing segment.
Yeah, yeah. And it really comes down to time, right? You only have so many hours in the day. And if you're going to decide to focus your attention on growing your podcast, you need to use those hours in the most productive way possible.
Mhm.
And editing the long form piece of content is not your most productive way possible if that's not your format. So, deciding which format you're going to use, go for it, right? Here's the other thing I heard a lot of, especially right now. I used to record in a studio or my office or somewhere else in a third party type location.
Mhm.
Now I'm at home. I hear the
Mhm.
ice cream truck behind me, or I hear the kids yelling or whatever.
Yep.
Right? How do I overcome that? And for me, part of it was you kind of don't. If it was me, if I had to have my window open, luckily for me, like the podcast studio is in my house, right? So
Right.
it's always going to be here. It's here unless I get burned down or something. Knock on wood, hopefully none of that happens. But other than that, but even then, the kids are home, right?
Yep.
And I could have helicopter noise or whatever.
Mhm.
And if it's something that's frequent in your area, make it fun, with your audience. Like, let your audience know, hey guys, I know this. I feel like this ice cream truck is always coming around the corner when I start recording. I bet you it's because that guy's a fan, right? So let's do this. Anytime we hear the ice cream truck in our podcast in the background, I'm going to give away one free Business Bros shirt or something like that. You know what I mean? Make sure you go register on our website, www.businessbros.biz, be part of our network. And anytime you hear that ice cream truck in the background, we're going to give away one of those free shirts to one of our network or one of the people in our Business Bros network. Something like that, right? Use what's going on, that background noise, use it to your advantage. Use it as part of your show and engage with your audience. Your audience understands that it's COVID time. We're in self-isolation. There's nothing I can do about my child that decides to run in his diaper behind you, or, the dog that decides to bark at the mailman walking by, whatever it is. You can't stop that.
We're all there. We're all feeling it. Whether it's a Zoom call, whether we're in our business meetings or whatever. I keep seeing these funny videos all over Facebook and everything else. Obviously, you guys can tell I use Facebook the most. But I keep seeing these funny videos of, my husband walking around in his underwear while I'm in a business call, or, my wife leans in to give me a kiss on the way, like all these different things during business calls that just keep happening. We're all there. We're all feeling it. So if your podcast is experiencing the same things because we are all in quarantine, it's fine. Relax. Not that big a deal.
It's not that big a deal.
Perfection is the enemy of done, always.
Always. So, that was one thing, right? I'm editing, you don't have to edit that stuff out. Incorporate it, make it part of your show, save yourself time. Most of these people are one-man shows, right? Or one-woman shows. They're putting on their podcast. They want to be able, how do I edit my videos? How do I edit my audio? So for the audio, for the most part, all you got to do if you're editing something is edit the intro, the outro, you're pretty much done. Now, if you want to combine some stuff, let's move into video. So when we started doing video, one of the biggest concerns I had was, well, if we use multiple cameras, I got to go back and edit all 3 camera feeds into one video. That is going to suck. I do not want to do that. Right? Which is why we hesitated with video early on until we were introduced to this thing called Sling Studio.
Sling Studio is a beautiful thing.
Now, Sling Studio, it's going to set you back about $1,000, but the beauty of it is we can literally live edit. And this is where I was saying you actually did do a lot of the editing because James it was in the studio, right? So in studio, James, literally, here's what we do. A guest comes over, we have them download the Sling Studio app. James and I already have the Sling Studio app on our phones. Those 3 phones become the 3 camera angles for our podcast, and we just set them up on tripods. Right. And so while the show is recording, James is literally on the Mac. He's literally just changing camera angles, click of a button, change the camera angle, click of a button, change the camera angle, split screen like you see now. That's another, button. Add banners like we see right here, where the Business Bros pod is on here. He can add banners, little logos, whatever it is. And Sling Studio is taking the audio in, it's taking the video in. And at the end, when we're done, we have a 100 complete finished product, fully edited video while we're doing the show.
So I have a question for you. I wonder if you've messed with this at all. When we start having guests in the studio again, and I'm back in there and we're doing all this stuff, how are we going to go from Sling Studio to StreamView? Have you messed with StreamYard?
StreamYard? Yeah, I haven't messed with that yet, but I'm curious. I'm going to look into that because and that's a perfect transition. So, let me finish up with the Sling Studio.
Sure.
So Sling Studio allowed us to have everything all in one, right? And the cool thing is now I have a fully recorded audio of the entire podcast. I have a fully recorded video of the entire podcast. Literally out now, and Sling Studio allowed us to stream live.
And I want to throw this in there because every once in a while we would have some kind of a technical glitch where the audio didn't record in Audacity, but luckily the audio recorded in Sling Studio separately, so we were able to recover that episode.
Yeah, so it was like a redundancy type thing. We had a backup plan.
Yep.
So, but that saved us a lot of time. Now, instead of recording video and then taking it in post-production and editing in and highlighting this thing and adding a banner or adding a logo in post-production, it was all done in one shot. So we spent the money to buy this piece of equipment, but it saved us a ton of time, right? Now we hit COVID. Right. So COVID comes in and we have to do the online base. And I started off with Zoom and I started looking into other platforms and we came across StreamYard. Now, StreamYard takes all those things and throws us a nice little beautiful layup that we can now implement for a fully produced video like you're seeing here with nice banners and logos, records the audio in direct MP3 format, no need for conversions, no need for changing anything. It also allows us to throw in an intro and an outro. And what we're going to be doing here soon also, we can use it for commercial spots or segmented spots.
So cool.
So if you, for example, if you have a show where you have 3 different segments, right? Like we used to do a segment when we had guests in studio called Ask the Bros, right? So rather than just saying, hey, we're going to do Ask the Bros, I could literally hit the button and the little digital video would pop up saying, boom, 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 it's now time for Ask the Bros, like something like that.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun to mess with.
And so Sling Studio allows you to do things like that. So it looks like a completely fully produced product. And when we're done, when we hit the end broadcast, literally you download the MP4, which you can keep for your own records. which you don't have to because you're literally already streaming to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, all already. So you don't have to do any uploading, which saves you a lot
Twitter
of time
through Periscope, right?
through Periscope, right? And I can download the MP3, which already includes the intros, the commercial bites if we had them in there, the outro, all the audio in between. And it's done. I upload that to my hosting site and it syndicates to everything else. This is literally the best way that I've come across using StreamYard. I literally don't even need James if I didn't have to. Like if I had to go, like if James decided I can't do podcasts anymore, I don't have time, I would be totally okay and fully functional, which is amazing. So that means any of you out there looking to start a podcast, I'm just going to share this with you guys. We have a podcasting course that we put together, and you can literally get the 4-week ebook for $7. The entire course, just the book part. I mean, you're not going to get the coaching calls and all the extras that go with it, but you'll get the book, which has everything that you need to know from podcast development to promoting it, to launching and visibility, to monetization for $7. Just go to businessbros.biz/ebook7, $7. Now, if you like that content, if you like that information, and you love to have somebody that you can refer to, reach out to, get questions answered, be on coaching calls, learn a little more stuff in depth, then you're going to want to sign up for the course, right? And if you sign up for the course, we're giving you the promo for the $297. It's DIY podcast because I know most of you would love to have everything done for you, just can't afford it. You want to get started right now, right off the bat. So make sure you go to to businessbros.biz/DIY podcast for the entire course. And if you just want the ebook, I got it scrolling on the bottom. And see, again, this is all done. I'm literally creating a product for you, a complete episode from the podcast right here on my laptop, and it'll be done by the time we finish our broadcast.
And what's great is is that you are basically taking all of that editing power and just doing it like during the show, rather than, trying to mess around and do it all afterwards, all the post-production. It's just all done during the show.
Right here, live. Right. And here's the thing. I'm on the show with James. Some of you have solo podcasts where you're just going to talk about your stuff. You might do a little screen share. StreamYard has the capability for you to split screen. Instead of you seeing James's picture, it'll be whatever you want to share on your screen. Maybe you're talking about what happened on the news and you're showing a YouTube clip on that side, and you're having your own commentary, your own opinion about what's going on. Or maybe you're I don't know, talking about a particular book and you have excerpts of that book that you want to show the audience or whatever it is. You can do a complete show by yourself using StreamYard. And it's completely edited. It's completely done. You don't even need all the fancy equipment, all that stuff. You can literally have your own little headset and you're ready to rock and roll. And that's the beauty of having a podcast. We're trying to find the simplest, the easiest way possible for you to produce content. And then once you finish the recording, because honestly, the recording is the fun part, in my opinion. This is the part where we just sit down and we have the conversation. We talk about whatever it is we're going to talk about. We interview whoever we're going to interview. We hear their stories. We learn about their struggles, their successes, their insights, all that stuff. After that, because you're doing the system that we're teaching you to do, you don't have to worry about editing everything and editing the audio and trying to fix it. You know what you focus on? You focus on the small clips. You focus on, that was a good segment. I want to reshare this part, and I want to put it on my Instagram. And now you create the small clips. And now you're doing that second thing that you're always worried about. One is, I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to record. I don't know how to post. Done for you. Cool. Second is, how do I grow my audience? You show them more of your stuff. You show them the stuff that's interesting.
Manageable bits.
In bite-sized chunks. Yep. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And you just got to hands feed each one of your guests or each one of your viewers, each one of your followers on every single one of your platforms a little bit more, and reach out to them. And the last thing is going to be to engage. And that just means conversate with people, like reach out, say hello, ask them what you can help them with, that sort of stuff. You do those things, you're going to have a successful podcast. Like literally, I've bumped into some people today, and my conversations on Facebook in this group, and they share with me their podcast link. I listen to the podcast. I'm like, damn, they're good. Like they're better than me. I like that show. That show's really good. Like you should have more listeners, but they just don't know how to do these little things, right? And so if you can learn those little things, if you can learn these little nuances on how to simplify the process of creating the podcast, if you can learn the little tricks to editing and saving time and where you should be focusing your attention on, which those are the things that we can help you with, now you can have a successful show because you don't have to worry about anything else. All you're focusing in on is be yourself, enjoy this whole recording thing. And then when you do have time, what do you focus your attention on? These specific items. Super simple. And if you have any questions, you always have somebody that you can go to. You can refer back to our ebook, or you can go back to our course, look at all the content that's there, get some ideas. Because the third biggest topic we talked about is monetization. And that's a whole different ballgame. I think we're going to save that one for another episode.
I like it.
I will tell you this about monetization. Anytime I talk to anybody about podcasting, when they talk about monetizing their podcast, the number one thing they go to is always sponsorship.
Right.
Everybody goes to sponsors. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is the holy grail of podcasting. You want a sponsor? That's great. So does everybody else, right? We all want sponsorships. Like, there you go. There's my sponsor right there. Pipeline Insurance. If you guys have an existing business and you don't know what else to do to increase your bottom line, to increase your revenue, you want to connect with us because what do we do, Ham?
Help people create wealth today, generational wealth for tomorrow?
No, the effective part.
Oh, that part. Empower licensed professionals to effectively add insurance to their existing businesses. Boom.
That's what we do at Pipeline Insurance. So, and honestly, why is Pipeline one of our sponsors? Because that's the company that we own. And so, sponsorship, it definitely is the holy grail. Ooh, bless you. It definitely is the holy grail of monetization, but there's a bunch of other ways that you guys can make money through podcasting. And we're going to save that for another episode. So hopefully today you guys got a little bit out of editing a podcast, where to focus your time, right? Where to focus your attention. If you're focusing your attention on the long form content, you're most likely wasting your time. Don't focus your attention on editing long form, focus your attention on editing short form. And then when it comes to video, you could edit the old fashioned way, take multiple cameras and edit that way, or you can find solutions to editing live, which is the two that we use. We don't represent them. I wish we did, but we don't represent them. Sling Studio. So that's for in-person interviews that you can use live multi-camera editing, or we can use StreamYard. There's other platforms too, but StreamYard is the one that we're using for live edits with intros, outros, and commercials, posting and streaming to multiple platforms. So hopefully you guys got something out of today. I enjoy talking about this stuff. That gets my juices flowing.
Love it.
Ham, you got any last minute things?
Nope, that's it for me. And you pretty much said it all. You have been doing all the editing, or we've been doing all the editing in show, like live, rather than afterwards, and that's probably the best way to go. And like you said, focus on editing small bits to reach a greater audience.
Boom, that's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And we're out.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you interested in being on the show? Are you looking to sell your home or have a business that needs insurance? Reach out to the Business Bros via email, businessbros@seeusfirst.com right now, or click on the link in the show notes. Thank you for listening. And remember to subscribe and share the podcast with the business professionals who you think would benefit from the show.